So one of the things that I used to get in trouble for all the time in elementary school was what?
Oh, being like ridiculous in your seat, like not staying in your seat. Like
I
walking around, like jiggling around.
couldn't not move.
Right.
K through 12. I think the number one complaint was Kevin cannot find his seat. And when he does, cannot sit in his seat. I don't think I was ever diagnosed as ADD or ADHD or anything along those lines, but I think I had all the symptoms of it.
Right. We did have you checked.
But I don't think
They said you were very close, but they wouldn't label you that.
very close to having some disorder, but just shy.
Just shy.
I have now podcast with you 50 times.
Changing everything I'm doing right now.
I wish there was a camera like on your feet. Your inability to stay still is like, it's a birthright. I understand myself now because you swivel in the chair, you rub your feet together. I've watched on so many videos, you start from the left side of the screen and work your way to the middle side into the middle of the screen. And now that I see it, I can't not pay attention to it. And I mean, it doesn't do anything other than maybe ruin a little continuity in the video. But it is so funny because there are some times where you'll be talking and then it'll be coming over like this. And then you just lift it up here and over there. And then it's like, oh, it's because she's been sitting for an hour and all she wants to do is get out of this chair. Your thoughts?
So, like, remember when those spinner things came out?
The fidget spinners?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Like
Dad, for some reason, bought 1,000 of them for us.
He did. And I thought it was initially the most ridiculous thing in the world. And then you heard these stories of how kids could behave in class.
Yep.
They could just sit and do that thing. So I was like, oh, well, it's a real thing. And then you did have some, and you were doing it a lot. I mean, when you first got them.
Oh, the novelty of it was the initial reason to use it. And then I was like, oh, I'm addicted to flicking this thing over and over and over again.
So I never used a fidget spinner. But the first time I put this thing, what's this thing called?
Pop socket.
The first time I put that on my phone, I am like, I do that all day long in a meeting. I pull it out, I move it around. Do you know what I mean? It makes me so happy. I can do it perfectly quietly so nobody notices. And that was the first time that I thought, maybe I'm a fidgeter, until we sat down here.
It is truly like, and I don't think they've ever really been picked up, but my monitor is in the way of your body. I can see your head, so you and I can make eye contact with each other. I just hear these random noises, and it's because you've just found something to like tinker with. And then then I hear a sound. I'm like, what is that like rubbing? And it's like your foot on the wheel of the chair. It's all these different ways of distraction so that you're not just like perfectly statuesque.
So it started out, and then you got mad at me for this, or I got in trouble. I felt like I started out by taking the cord of my headphones, and I would tie it and retie it and untie it.
And then the metal connector would rub against the other metal piece. So there's just this clank, 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 clank.
And then I went to a pen where I just held a pen.
And we're clicking it.
I might have clicked it for a while, so that didn't work.
Nope.
And then I finally, when we were in Paris last, in Notre Dame, I bought they're called a comfort cross. Mm-hmm. It's a little olive wood cross from Bethlehem.
Yep.
And it's little, it fits into the palm of your hand.
And it's super smooth.
So yeah, there you go. So that's what I've gone to now is.
Does that fulfill anything in you? Because
it helps a lot.
That's good as she swivels.
The swiveling, okay. So the swiveling, I'm sorry, it's a swivel chair.
Oh, I'm not condemning you. I'm just letting it be known that all of the reasons I got in trouble, I inherited from you. My childhood comes into such perfect perspective now after having done these with you. And did you hear that thing hit the desk right there? That's a Deb thing. My childhood of constantly being in trouble for all the things that I see my adult mother do now, I wish I would have had that foresight to see, because you were a fidgeter back then too, but I was too young to see it.
I don't think I was a fidgeter in school. I don't remember getting in trouble.
This is not new. Like this is not learned behavior.
Well, then apparently I had better control of myself.
No, I think I was just too little to understand that this was passed down from you to me, because I know that you I've always seen you kind of rub your feet together.
I do. I've done that ever.
That's a constant.
Yeah.
But the hand fidgeting stuff is so funny, because I would have never said you were that. I would have never in a million years said, oh yeah, my mom, she's kind of, when she sits too long, she needs to play with things. She needs to click pens. She needs to shuffle papers.
You've just parked me here. I feel like I'm in a weird little cockpit.
I'm in a cockpit.
Well, you are in a cockpit over there, but I feel like it here too. I mean, there's like lights there. There's a camera there. You know, the microphone's here.
But what you're inferring is that I've somehow trapped you. And if I had my druthers, I would have you never move. Well, I would have you be perfectly still.
But my point being is, if I were sitting at this desk and I were just talking to normal people, you know, I'd turn here, I would turn there, I'd be writing, I'd be, you know, whatever. There's nothing to do except stare at you and talk.
The woman who makes her life with talking complains that she has too much time to talk.
I don't know what to say, but I was on a Zoom the other day.
Yep.
And I was watching myself do this.
The swivel?
The swivel.
The swivel's really hard, especially if the other person's talking. I do that with you. As if you're watching on YouTube, as this episode progresses, I think I tend to move to my right a little bit, so then I'm a little more direct with the camera. But that's because I too have an inherent need to swivel this chair.
So I was on Zoom and there were like 6 of us on it, and I'm watching myself. Everybody else is just sitting there looking, you know, in the screen and talking. Mm-hmm. And I'm watching myself do this the whole time.
Swivel.
And it made me as happy on the screen watching it as it did sitting here doing it. And I thought, do they think something's weird because I'm swiveling? And I totally didn't care.
I get it. It's hypnotic. It's rhythmic. But what does that say about us? I know that there's doctors who listen to this. What does it say about us that you and I have an inability to literally sit still as adults?
I don't know. I think it means that we're creative and mindful and full of good energy.
Yeah. Or we have attention deficit disorder.
Or we have attention deficit disorder.
Let's start the podcast.
Okay.
Welcome to the Deb and Kev podcast. One is a Harvard Business School alum. The other is her son, discussing business, pop culture, family, and everything in between. Now, here are your hosts, Deb and Kev.
Hey, hi, hello, and welcome to the Deb and Kev podcast. Across from me is the world record holder for most podcasts recorded with her son in their home studio during a pandemic between the years 2020 and 2021. It's my mom, Deb.
I'm Deb.
And I'm the guy who literally has no clue how we've ever achieved this goal. It's me, I'm her son, Kev, and this is our podcast. On today's show, just because we're celebrating 50 episodes doesn't mean we're going to change what we do. In Deb's business segment, we are going to explore the mysterious topic of professional personas. What does it mean? I have no clue, but I'm excited to talk about it because I asked for this topic 5 minutes ago, and this is what we got. And I'm pretty sure she's going to make it up off the top of her head, too.
It's not true.
We are also going to tackle a new version of Use It in a Sentence. Sadly, we have run out of Gen Z millennial words for me to use with you. So in honor of this being our 50th episode, we are going to make Deb use obscure 1950s lingo in a sentence.
I love that. Maybe I'll do better.
And it wouldn't be a Deb and Kev pod without a heavy dose of thankfuls and food to wind everything up. But first, Deb, the big 5-0. Did you ever think we would get to this point?
If you would have told me that we would stick with it.
Yeah.
And well, first of all, if you would have told me that we would have done it more than once a week,
yeah,
I would have said no, absolutely not. Now we're doing it twice a week.
Sure.
And then if you would have said you're actually going to do 50.
What if I told you at the very beginning, all said and done, we'll have done 50 episodes?
Crazy.
But you would have said, oh, that makes sense. Like 50 over how long?
Like 5 years?
True. The fact that...
Yeah, 48 months, 5 years. Perfect. Yeah.
The fact that we are sitting here talking about our 50th episode, broadcasting our 50th episode, I can't quantify it. I wake up every day and I don't think about this podcast. But very shortly thereafter, I think about what the hell are we going to talk about this week? I have no idea how we've made it to this point because I think we ran out of topics after 7 episodes.
Literally have bad dreams about sitting down here and not having anything to really talk about.
Yep.
That we just kind of stare at each other and, which the truth is we can just walk away if that happens, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's like, that nobody would know.
I have probably thought this is our last episode 10 times.
Here's the weird thing about it. There is always, even with the episodes where I go, well, that was weird. Like somebody writes a note or something and says, that really just resonated with me. And I want to go, really? So as long as there's at least one of those people out there, right?
I'm with you. I think the episodes where we have thrived both in people's responses to us and in the content we've produced are the episodes where we've never really just wung it, like just come to the mic.
Is that like
wung it, winged it?
Winged it. Wing it.
Wanged it?
I don't know. Not
wanged it?
Not wanged it.
Wonged it?
Wonged it is a thing though.
Where we just shot from the hip. Those episodes have been the best. We have received great responses from them. And when we finally turned the mics off, we say, wow, that ended up being a lot better than we anticipated.
Thought, yeah.
But I, again, still, like, if you ask me to think about the last 50 episodes we've done, which is probably cumulatively over 70 hours of content.
Yeah.
Nuts. I really don't know what we've talked about. I have no idea.
Well, you and I said in the car the other day, like, why didn't we create an inventory of things we've touched on? Because I said something and you go, oh, I'm sure we've talked about that. I said, we haven't talked about that. I mean, like,
but could you, with much conviction, say we haven't talked about that?
Oh, like place a money bet? No way. No way.
Because here's the other thing. It'd be one thing if we were literal coworkers where we just like came to the studio every day and we talked about a topic and then we kind of went our separate ways. We just go into the kitchen afterwards. And so then we talk about the normal stuff that we talk about.
Yeah.
And I have no recollection about whether it was talked about and then disseminated to all of our friends and people we don't know and listeners, or if it was just in the breakfast nook in the morning with casual conversation.
Well, I mean, that's 100% true. And especially when it comes to stories that we've told that have been told many times, in our life. I will say, I think we've gone to a new place, though. I see this changing for both of us, where there are some certain subjects in life that I would call serious subjects. And
example.
Well, I'm just going to say, like, Dad's being sick right now is serious, right?
I don't know why I'm laughing, but it's...
Stop.
Yes, Deb, it's very serious.
It's serious, but...
And I don't know why we laughed at that. I think it's because I was anticipating you saying something else and then you said that.
But, I mean, and Dad allows us this. I mean, like...
Of any cancer patient ever, he is the most lackadaisical when it comes to use it in the podcast.
The things we laugh about, I mean, with Daddy and about what he's going through. I mean, like, we have no shame.
I agree that this has become free therapy. Like save your money, buy a microphone, get a Buzzsprout subscription, and just talk into a mic for hours on end. And that's as good of therapy as anything else.
Oh, I mean, it is crazy. I mean, this morning I set him down and I said, hey, I want to talk to you about a couple things. And he goes...
On the podcast?
That would have been great. And he goes, about me dying? And I went, no. And he goes, about what? I said, actually about you living. Do you know what I mean?
Nice.
Like that. I mean, these are life things that are going on.
Yep.
And I think he totally meant it like to be funny, like as a joke, like, you know. For sure. Like
he himself probably isn't super comfortable talking about it, but I think he prefers that we talk about it because I think he likes the filters and the lens that we put it through because it's secondhand.
Right.
It's not him. And we do surround it with humor when humor is called for.
Right.
And we spent some time with a friend today where we told funny dad stories. And she thought they were really funny, and she caught herself chuckling a couple times. We're like, no, it's totally okay to laugh at these.
It is. Because there are these moments. I will say, I think we get to have those moments because we also allow dad to have the very serious moments that are tough.
Mm-hmm.
We hunker down with him, when that happens, and those moments do arise for sure. And I also think for you and I, when things I'm just going to say the cancer arena are tough,
yep.
That we pay attention to it.
Sure.
We give it its full due. We shine a light on it. We don't try to avoid any topics. So then some of the other stuff is super funny.
I'll tell you, the other biggest winner in this podcast is Dad.
Yeah.
Because he gets to learn about our lives without ever having to talk to us. He gets to know everything that is happening with us without actually having to engage with us. He gets to go to his shop, or he gets to go hit golf balls, and he doesn't even have to have the conversation with us. We are just talking at him, and he now knows what we're doing. The other day, he was walking up the stairs. My bedroom was open. I was folding laundry, and he goes, "Hey, how's that new body pillow?" And in my head, I'm like, he doesn't know I have a body pillow. And I was like, oh, we talked about it on the podcast. I will tell you people this, the best gift ever for him for Christmas was those AirPods.
He uses them all the time.
We liberated him with those AirPods. We liberated
him. It's a whole new life. He's so excited. And he is like on the podcast, like right away when it happens. And he'll ask you some random question without saying, I heard it on the podcast. And you really are for a minute like,
what are you talking about? Totally.
And then how does he know?
Right.
So, yeah.
I will say that again, 50 episodes is just mind-boggling to me. I don't know how we got here, especially because we have moved this office 2 or 3 times now. We were on the left side of the room. Yeah. Now we're on the right side of the room. We have purchased equipment to the lengths of which belong in a professional studio.
Yep.
Thank you, Deborah.
You're welcome.
We record it now, which we were asked to record it by a third party who never did anything with it, which we have no issues with whatsoever. Right. But we were just like, okay, well, now we have all this stuff. We're just going to put it up. So the fact that in less than 7 or 8 months, we've gone from, I don't know, using $25 mics to feeling like we're in a full-blown studio is crazy.
I still love the original mic. I loved that mic.
But why did you like it?
I don't know. Felt like I don't know. You never said to me.
When you swiveled around, you felt like it picked up everything you said?
Yes. And
I also had no earthly idea what I was doing then.
And I felt like that mic was with me. Like with me. And this mic, you're always like, push it forward, pull it back.
No. If you stayed still, that mic wouldn't have to do anything. But it's all this stuff and all this stuff
I don't
where
do
it gets
that.
a little crazy.
I'm back and forth like this.
It has been such a fun ride. And not to say that it's over. It's just been so fun, and it has been something that we look forward to twice a week. It's brought another element to our relationship. It's fun to be able to think outside of our professional relationship or outside of our familial relationship. Like our podcast relationship is different because we want to talk about things that are interesting to all of you, of course, but we also want to talk about things that are interesting to us. And a lot of the times we have no idea how to bridge that gap. We just, again, shoot from the hip and hope it works.
Yeah. When you reminded me that it was 50 earlier, I thought it's almost as old as I am. I'm going to go with that.
Hey, we should have a Deb birthday cast when we officially record the 89th podcast.
Let's do that. That'd be a great idea. I can't stand you. Let's do that.
It has been so much fun. It has been so much more than either one of us have ever expected. We're not even going to tell you how thankful we are for all of you, because I hope you all truly
for sure
understand that.
Yeah.
We We have learned so much from all of you. We have been humbled by all of you. We have thought about tinkering with the podcast on so many different levels. And it's every time we mention it, somebody says, no, don't stop doing that segment, or don't take that out, or we look forward to this. And so I don't feel like we're in a prison of our own creation. It's like, thank God the things that we started out with were the things that people liked, because if we had to keep coming up with new stuff all the time until it resonated, we wouldn't have made it past 7.
And we've had a couple that we threw out right away. They didn't.
I don't even remember them.
Yeah. Well, I do.
Talk about it.
What was the one about, like, you asked me some question about some guy, what he was doing now?
Oh, did you know?
Yeah. Did you know? That did you know was stupid.
I think it's interesting if you don't know. And you didn't know about Andy Milonakis. I remember that.
Was it Andy Milonakis?
Yeah.
I know who Andy Milonakis is.
I don't think you remembered at the time.
It wasn't Andy Milonakis.
I promise
I'm going to go back and listen and find it.
She has no earthly idea what episode that is.
But most of them, and usually I can tell if they're going to be funny. I mean, if I'm trying to, like I said to you, I usually always listen to it. And I mean, of course, I know what's coming.
In theory.
In theory. But sometimes I don't even recognize some things that came out of my mouth.
Totally. So when I go back and I edit this stuff for YouTube,
right?
I think to myself, it'd be really funny if I said this. And then I say that, and I'm like, how did I not remember saying that?
There's weird stuff you don't remember saying. And so it's so strange, like, because this is for you and I just like a conversation.
Totally.
I mean, we're looking at each other.
True.
But it's so weird to think, like, that you're having conversations with people all the time. Are we really not remembering big pieces of it?
Yeah, this is, I think we just do the podcast and we black out for an hour. And then...
Oh, is that how it is?
And then apparently we have an episode.
Yeah. So, I keep getting little notes from people. I think I've blocked out on half of my life at this point of things I remember. But,
And I will tell you what, I don't know if it's life or if it's karma or if it's just the cosmos. I feel as though once we started doing this podcast, we opened our minds to so many things that could be content, and then things just poured in that we never anticipated. And here's a nice teaser. We're going to have a super huge Bjorn update in a future podcast. Huge, enormous, mind-blowingly
that
big.
is not true.
Beyond true. But there's so many things like that happen, and you're like, wait, is that because we're putting that out into the ether and it's coming back to us, or would that have happened always? Because I don't know that it would have always happened.
I don't know. I feel like, to some degree, like little tidbits are being dropped from heaven in our laps or from some alternate universe.
For sure.
That we look at each other. I mean, so there's the real thing that happened.
Yep.
Meaning, oh my God, Kev, this guy named Bjorn. Do you mean where I would tell you that story? And then, when we look at each other and I go, no, because I know exactly what you want to do, you know, like that just took care of a segment in your mind.
Oh, yeah.
In a very entertaining fashion.
Whenever you walk into the office and you're like, so I have a Bjorn update. I'm like, oh, thank God I don't have to worry about content for a little while. But just crazy stuff. I mean, just absolutely crazy stuff. You saw a girl roll out of a car after you told a story about that.
Oh, that was wild.
We almost got accosted by a neighbor. I mean, there's just so many weird things that have happened, and maybe in and of themselves, they wouldn't be noteworthy, but because we have this venue, it becomes a little more, I don't know, acceptable to think about.
You know what made me really happy the other day about our podcast is you, and I don't know exactly what you did, so you can explain it, but you accidentally put the wrong date in for it to load or something.
Oh yeah. So I backdated it on accident. So it was supposed to come out on Monday, and it did come out on Monday, but it came out on Monday, January 4th or something like that.
Right. So, but what I loved is you got a couple DMs like, where's the podcast?
Yep.
And one is our friend Nicole in New York City. And she always says, like, you're with me when I'm walking to work, or you're with me, sitting at my desk. And I thought, we failed Nicole. She was looking for us, and we weren't there because we're supposed to be with her, right, at that time.
It's just on the wrong date, Nicole. We're always with you.
We're always with you, Nicole.
But as I think about this. It's been so much fun. It's been such a great respite from the doldrums of life. And we are so appreciative that you guys enjoy it too, because we get a kick out of it every single week.
We do.
And I think the number one listener of the podcast is actually you.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I just listen to it because I want to be able to, I guess, intelligently talk about it if somebody asks. And I don't want to be horrified.
Which is hilarious because you're the one doing it.
I know, but I worry every week about it. So there's stuff that entertains me. I mean, on it genuinely, where I laugh. Do you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Or I smile a lot. And then I think all the time on the business segments as I'm starting them.
Yeah.
Listening, not saying.
Yep.
Listening. I think, oh yeah, that was the topic. Now, oh no, you didn't say this. Oh yeah, you did. I mean, like, or, oh, you should have added that. But
Fair.
then you added a version of it. So I also want to make sure that whatever I said makes sense.
Sure.
You know, because
I think it does.
I can wander.
I mean,
know
I would
that.
say for at least 15 episodes, what you said made sense. At least 15.
Well, thank you.
So much fun. Again, we do this because we have such a great time. The fact that you all enjoy it is just the cherry on top. So thank you guys for 50. We can't wait to do another 50 more. I have no earthly idea how we're going to be able to do that, but I promise we're going to try.
We're going to do it.
Deb's business segment, everybody's favorite segment, as we've been told. Tell me, with the cryptic message that you texted me about this topic today, what are professional personas? And do we all have them, or is it more of an essence?
When I texted it to you, by the way,
Yeah.
you normally go, oh, good, or, you know, like thumbs up, or,
Yeah.
And I think today you said, sure.
Oh, no, it was just a big, okay. I mean, I had no idea what that was. I am sitting here on the 50th episode, waiting with bated breath, just like the listeners, for you to define what professional personas are.
So this is something that after I get started, you are going to be able to jump in on, okay?
Can't wait.
I expect you to.
I'm going to try to keep my attention.
So the definition of persona, let's go with that first.
Okay.
All right. Depending on the context, it can refer to either the public image of one's personality.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily who we are, but who they think we are.
Oh, okay.
Are you with me?
Kind of like Clark Kent and Superman.
Or Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Or the social role that one adopts, meaning this is who I'm going to be. Do you know what I mean? Socially.
Sure.
Or a fictional character.
Like Clark Kent and Superman.
Like Clark Kent and Superman.
Or Ellen DeGeneres.
So we have avatars. So that really does.
I've seen that movie.
Place.
It's good.
Yeah, but that really comes in place, right? When we are not avatars.
I am not a 10-foot tall blue man with a tail.
Right. But you are not even the avatar that you have if you have one on Facebook or Instagram or any of those kinds of things.
Correct.
But that is like an image of us, correct?
For sure.
So in the workplace, so we're talking about professional, this could apply personally as well. But when we talk about professional, so if you think about leadership, I'm talking about leaders right now, but it does apply to everybody else. We've all had bosses who would say about themselves, and I think truly believe it. Like, I'm chill, I'm easy, I'm relaxed, I'm like so cool. Everybody gets to be themselves here, blah, blah, blah. And they couldn't be more opposite than that.
I've never met a single person who has defined themselves as chill or easygoing who has actually ever been chill or easygoing.
Except for Arya.
Debatable.
So there's that thing. Or people think like they're just the greatest leader and can't actually lead at all.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
So everybody has had that experience where you go, do they really, are they just reciting stuff they've read, of who they want to be? Do they really believe that's who they are?
Sure.
The truth of the matter is, if we all think that you're a jerk, that you're a crummy leader, and that you don't make us at all feel happy or secure in position, then it doesn't matter what you think, because that's who you are, right? So I think the professional persona thing is that I think in leadership, a lot of times people have it in their mind, someday when I'm a leader, this is who I'm going to be. And while they have that in their mind, they've never really taken the time to develop any of those skills and embrace them to themselves.
Makes sense.
So what they're saying they are is actually who they would like to be.
Or just the best version of themselves that they aspire to be, but clearly
it could
are
be
not.
for a minute and a half.
Totally.
But
Yep.
that's all the longer.
Yep.
Okay. And I think that's a really, really hard thing to do, because if you just say to somebody, listen, can you just all day pay attention to how other people see you, right? Because we're in a world where we say often, like, I don't care what others think of me. Do you mean? But we do care if we're not being the best version of ourselves, or we should care.
We should care.
Okay. So, if you're in leadership and you realize that people are kind of hesitant to approach you, or very careful with their words, or even kind of PTSD-ish, right? When they're presenting something, like, something is wrong, right? We haven't created an environment or a culture, at least with you there, that they're comfortable being themselves.
True.
And so I think that really is important to do kind of a little self-inventory on that and say, like, hey, I need to pay attention to how somebody else sees me. I think with now we've gone to such a digital world. And if you look at social media, and you and I know people like this, like, they are so far from their Facebook and Instagram stuff that's going on, but yet they consistently create a persona on social media.
Absolutely.
Or the opposite is they don't even think about who they are, and they don't create a persona, which leads to a big bad mess often.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever thought about it that way, but yeah, for sure. That makes sense.
Because I've heard you say to clients, like, what do you want your voice to be?
Mm-hmm.
Who do you want to be on social media? Meaning you want it to be well thought out, right? And you want it to be planned.
True.
And so I think, like, with social media, that's a big mistake. I think I see some people, like, I think, like, if you're talking about 20-year-olds partying, I think there are great pictures you can post. And then I think there's pictures that should never see the light of day.
For sure.
If you want to be taken serious.
Do you remember when I was coming out of college, and it was every parent's nightmare that what we posted on Facebook was going to come back and haunt us
forever
in the real world?
Yeah, forever.
And then Facebook just turned into this cesspool. I always get a chuckle out of that it was every parent's worst nightmare for their children to post something on Facebook that would come back to bite them. And then more often than not, it's now the parents who get in trouble.
But it's like, you even see it. We saw it this last election politically. Like, I can't believe that some people later are going to be happy with some of the things,
Sure.
That they posted, And so I really think that, what we have to do is we have to evaluate ourselves kind of all the time, and clearly, without blinders on, ascertain who it is we want to be. And I think when you say the words, like when you say, you should plan your voice, do you know what I mean? You should, that kind of thing, like that, we should be doing that as well. And the Ellen DeGeneres thing, I think, how can you not love Ellen? Everybody loves Ellen, right? Do you mean the Ellen that we see on
up
TV?
Until like 4 months ago, everybody did.
Right. And then, all this information comes out that Ellen really isn't very kind, and she's really harsh, and she's really acts like she's above everybody.
Yeah.
Or,
super dismissive. Super
right.
Shunning of all people minus a handful. It's a very dictatorship relationship with everybody, and nobody in 1,000 years would have ever thought that.
Right. And then I think what ends up happening when that comes out, it clearly was a thing. It was admitted, right? She certainly said, she's still around. Do you know what I mean? She's still doing business. But, it then, it's a shaky thing there for a while. Do you mean you'll see, like, what will happen with her and brands? Do you mean
right.
and her future and all of that? And having to recover from that kind of thing is big. Even if you're just an owner of a small business and your reputation is that you're not good to work for, or the culture stinks because of really what you do and
right.
the way you operate,
mm-hmm.
then, that rumor gets out there. People know that and understand that. So I think that people, whether it's, we have clients, we have investors, we have customers, we have vendors, we have a world of people, we have employees, a world of people that we do business with. And I think that we have to be careful to not craft a persona that isn't genuine, first of all, right? But also craft a persona that is you, but you need to actually be you, if that makes sense. You know, you need to be the best parts of you.
Okay, so I was going to say, what if me is somebody who really shouldn't be running a business with the oversight of other people? Because I functionally can't do that. But I believe I can, but I can't do it.
So if you can't do, I mean, so here's the thing. The one group of people you're never, ever, ever going to fool are the people that work for you, right?
Totally.
And so depending on the size of your business, it could take a long time before that really gets out. But there are all sorts of websites that judge businesses, you know, that give them grades for working there, and people tell stories. And you will see trends in that if you start reading some of those things. So that might be small for a small business, but eventually that gets out, right? I mean, you know, back to the Ellen DeGeneres thing. I mean, it got out. It took a long time, but it did get out where enough people were just saying enough of this. And so I think if you're really not qualified, you know, what's going to happen is, and if you're really behaving badly, but you're putting this other, I'm a philanthropist, I'm the nicest person in the world, I have the greatest culture ever, I do all the right things for my employees, do you know what I mean? So approachable, so cool, so kind, but that's not really who you are. Or you're doing it just to create a persona, a script for yourself.
Yep.
I think you need to understand that the truth will always win out, even though you think you can craft some public data that says otherwise.
Yep.
That too will fall away.
And I think there's a lot of people who are sitting here listening to this, and they're thinking exactly what I'm thinking, which is we've all had that boss who in no way, shape, or form should have ever been in charge of people. And we loathe them and we despise them. And we can only hope in our cruelest of hearts they get what's ultimately coming to them.
Right.
So with your best business hat and not being able to speak for literally every individual who's ever been a terrible boss, do you ultimately see that happening to people where it all finally catches up with them?
I think it does all finally catch up with them, because I think it comes down to something really simple, like the old thing of, you know, walking the talk, right? I mean, a lot of people will say, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. Do you know what I mean? Whatever they are. And we'll go, not so much. I mean, initially we don't know not so much,
right.
But after a period of time, we realize, oh, not so much, right? I mean, it starts to become apparent. And I think there is this very fine line of fitting in and being yourself, right? But it's at the same time standing out, right? They both have to be true.
Yeah.
And so what happens is if you are really just, I'm going to say verbiage, and there's no real action behind that, there's no real living the message you're preaching, right? I think you always get caught with it eventually.
I mean, I would say this. I have hop, skipped, and jumped to a lot of jobs, and we've talked about this before. The majority of my bosses have been less than great. I don't know of one where I would attribute that less than great mantle to who hasn't reaped what they've sown.
Right.
I mean,
agree.
I could list them all, and they have all taken a hit, personally or professionally, for trying to be one thing, but clearly being something else.
Well, and I've seen some people where I think they're less than, you know, who
Sure.
they say they are. But here's what they do. They are smart enough to always be surrounding themselves with new people.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
like, so that nobody really catches on to the game for too long. Or if somebody does, right?
And it's usually a total line change. It's not like we have 7 employees and 5 of them left and there's 2 remaining. No,
right.
Everybody leaves.
When you know a situation like this with a company, we won't say where it is, but it was some time ago that I worked with, but where there are a ton of us that are friends,
Mm-hmm.
and all have left and share stories. And they are the most unbelievable stories on the planet, right? I mean, like crazy stories, right? Of he said, and then he did, and then he said, and then he did, you know, that kind of thing. And I would say, I mean, I don't know, maybe this is a personality disorder or something, but I would say that the person that I'm talking about in this is incredibly charismatic. I mean, incredibly like fun. Like, I mean, if I saw him today, I would hug him. Do you know what I mean? It's hard not to. But he has got it down, and I think he believes his own shtick, if you will.
That's the tough part too. When the individual believes everything that comes out of their mouth as gospel, and none of it lines up with their actual actions. That's where you're like, now it's unsafe to be here, and I need to go find a new profession.
Exactly. So one of the things, and I'm just going to say, like, one of the things that I was nervous about in the podcast in the beginning was like, what do you put out there? It feels so vulnerable. Do you mean like people can just take issue with you?
Especially with the cameras.
Oh, yeah, exactly. The cameras make it way worse. But, you know, then we just decided we're going to kind of show our warts and all. I mean,
totally.
Once we decided that, then you get to see all of us, which we have admitted is less than perfect.
We have bickered seconds before this podcast started to where we had to look at each other and say, okay, are we good? Can we continue with this? Clearly there are moments even during podcasts where we get annoyed with one another. Those get edited out. But I believe fundamentally we are exactly who we are on this podcast without apologies, embarrassing stories and all.
Embarrassing stories, which is, and I just think about like now in my brain, I'm going, ugh, we just laughed really hard and said dad and cancer. Like we're the most awful.
But we apologized. We immediately apologized.
But, you know, like that's how it is here in our house. That's
my gosh.
The truth.
Without laughter, this would have been a horrible year.
Exactly. So I think the thing for all the healthy people that have good mental health, it really is, what is your message? Who are you? And how do you put that out genuinely?
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. And it's because it's our little personal brand, right? I mean, if you want, I mean, a lot of people would say, I don't have a brand, but you do.
Of course you
do. It's who are you personally? Who are you professionally? And then please, if you think you're that, put action behind it and genuinely be that.
And then even fact check it with people. Say, hey, I have a belief of this is how I conduct myself. I have a belief of this is how I interact with the world. Trust somebody to ask that question to and see if they agree with you or not. Because if they don't, then you need to do a real big inventory of yourself, because it's one thing to think it, but it's something completely different for other people to agree with you.
Apparently, I'm a fidgeter.
A huge fidgeter.
So, you know, that's one thing now that I have to incorporate.
I told you, I'm already swiveling in my chair, so I'm with you.
Yeah. So, but I do think that people don't give enough thought. They'll say, this is how I am, right? And it's not, I think more often than not, most people, it's who they'd like to be. And they haven't done the work to get there, especially if you're talking about leadership. They haven't done the work to get there. And so then who they're putting off is somebody entirely different. And that only leads to disappointment and misery. So
I always love Deb business segments that actually relate to normal life.
Yeah, this totally relates to normal life. Right.
Like, yes, you should be a man of your word as a leader, or a woman of your word as a leader. And the things you describe yourself should be the actions that you take. But that's also just the same as being a decent human being, right?
Right. No, for sure. I mean, so like, you know, like if I look at you and I go, you know, if I were to say the public image of you is, you know, that you would be funny, but thoughtful. You know, you're capable of having deep conversations, right? You know, you're a smart guy.
Wow. Keep going.
And you can also have this like funny, engaging idiot piece of you too, which is totally.
That's not as nice.
Loving, right?
Oh, okay. That's nice.
Totally loving. But I also see you take all of those things in your social life and be those things too. Do you know what I mean? Like there are avenues for all of those in your life.
The people who can delineate between professional and personal, that's crazy to me.
Yeah,
I don't know how you can be those two separate things. I mean, like, I don't know if it's good or bad. I mean, I guess if personally you're a terrible person, but professionally you're great, like kudos to you. Maybe bring one of those over to the personal side.
Right.
But people who try to walk that line being two different people, that's insane to me. I can only be this.
Right. That's how I feel. It's too hard.
Totally.
To be a multitude of other things that you aren't. So anyways, I just think people should think about that. I think for leadership, you should really think about it, because I think if everybody goes to their younger selves, they will say, when I'm in a leadership position or when I'm a boss, I'm never going to do thus and such. I'm never going to be like that. The problem is, if that's the behavior that's been modeled for us all along, that often is the standard that we walk into because we don't know anything else. And so make sure that, you are doing, like I said, a self-inventory, like you said, ask others, right? And get a real feel, because wouldn't it be nice if your public persona and your social persona and even your digital
private persona
all matched?
Yeah.
That would be the goal.
Great topic.
You like it?
Started off ambiguous. I didn't know what we were going to say. And now it's come full circle and I agree with everything.
And so, like, if I do create an avatar online, I guess I'm going to have to find one with some gray hair or something, right? If I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's an avatar. I get to do what I want.
Exactly. I have avatars that have red hair. So
okay, there you go.
Great topic. I can't
Thanks.
wait for the Deb's Business segment where I totally fundamentally disagree with everything you're going to say. That's going to be a fun episode.
Okay, let's do that. I'll try to think about it.
Can't really anticipate that ever happening, but if it does,
we're going to disagree openly.
You'll hear about
publicly.
it.
There'll be a little snark somewhere.
It's been a while since we've played, but we are going to now put Deb right in the crosshairs of use it in a sentence.
Okay.
As always, I'm going to present you with words that you hopefully don't know. You might actually know these words or phrases because it is from your birth decade.
My birth decade. But the 50s, so we're celebrating 50.
Exactly.
50s are perfect.
So I have a multitude of phrases and words that I'm going to give you. You can poke and prod around. I'm not going to give you any information about them. And then ultimately, you just need to use it in a sentence, right, wrong, or in between. And I'm going to let you know if it is correct or not.
Okay, go.
The first word.
I'm obviously feeling more confident than
Well, I
my
hope.
normal.
I mean, listen. I looked at 20 of these words.
Yeah.
I probably knew 15 of the words and phrases.
Oh, okay. So you picked the other 5.
I had never seen or heard of these before.
Oh, okay.
But that doesn't mean that you haven't.
Yep, go ahead.
The first word.
Yes.
Ginchiest. Ginchiest. I think it's ginchiest or ginchiest. I don't believe it's ginkeist. Ginchiest.
Is it a noun? Adjective?
Yeah, adjective.
So it's descriptive.
It's descriptive. And see, when you ask those questions, I know that you're just going to use it in that way without actually knowing it. So now I'm going to be super hard at critiquing the way you use it in a sentence. Ginchiest. And if you're listening at home, play along.
One day, my girlfriends and I,
It's been a while. We haven't caught up with the girls for a little bit.
For a while, but we're super excited to see each other.
Of course.
Okay. So we were in San Francisco.
Ooh.
And San Francisco is known for like a lot of fun cocktails. Every restaurant has kind of like a signature cocktail.
Yeah, the Big Apple. Beautiful.
The Big Apple?
I knew you weren't going to be able to catch that one.
What is that?
New York City's the Big Apple. I applied it to San Francisco in a way to be funny.
It wasn't.
Clearly, because it went straight over your head.
Over my
I
head.
think you were in the middle of swiveling and it just missed you.
Yeah. Okay. So we had gone to the Buena Vista Cafe to have Irish coffees.
Oh, delicious.
And then we went to this other place that's known for like their great martinis, 25-cent martinis.
What's it called?
Taggart's? Taggers?
Traeger's?
I'll think of it.
Home Depot?
No.
Oh, okay.
It is a real place. Okay.
Oh, I believe you.
Yeah. And then we went to a place I'd never heard of.
Okay.
But they had the coolest drink called a gincarius.
Gincariest?
What was the word?
Ginchiest?
Ginkius.
Wow.
Ginkius.
That
Gin.
that is not good. That was bad. Ginchiest, a way to tell somebody you admire their appearance or personality. And for more fun facts, you can say something like, baby, you're the ginchiest.
Literally never heard that. But you said it could also be pronounced ginkiest.
Right. Because it has the word gin in it. That doesn't mean that it has anything to do with the spirit itself.
Okay, fine. Go ahead. No point there.
No, ma'am. Deb, when I say wig chop, what do I mean? What's a wig chop? W-I-G space C-H-O-P. Wig chop.
A wig chop?
Wig chop.
A wig chop.
Wig chop. W-I-G space C-H-O-P. Wig chop.
Is it a noun?
It's a wig chop. I can't give you any of these stuff. I don't know where Ginchius went in your head. Wig chop.
Wig chop.
You're usually your strongest when you don't deviate too far off the path. Wig chop. Here we go. She's got it.
So, I was watching Bridgerton.
Ooh.
And there was a court scene.
Okay.
British court.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in British court, all of the attorneys and judges and official people wear wigs. Sometimes that wig needs a little help. And when it does, we have a wig chop.
Okay. Close.
Almost. Did I get there kind of?
Some people think that it would be trimming a toupee. But really, it's just another word for saying haircut. Gonna head down to the barbershop, get a wig chop.
I think I should get that.
Let's see what happens.
Kevin, that was so close.
Oh,
I mentioned Bridgerton. I mentioned the British Parliament.
I'm not in charge of who rules over this, and clearly you lost. That's very sad.
I have a point for sure.
Deb, what's backseat bingo? Backseat bingo. In today's world, they just call it BSB, but it's backseat bingo.
So.
Oh, she knows it. She knows it.
I don't know it for sure. I'm just I'm trying to stick with what I know and what I don't. So, in high school,
yep,
I went out on a date with Bjorn.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And he went and parked on the cliff, where he looks out over the city.
Yep.
Right? And
call that point, make-out point.
And he said, come on, let's get in the back seat. And I was like, oh, no. And he goes, come on. The view's good from the back seat.
Interesting.
And I'm like, no. And he goes, why don't you want to get in the back seat? And I said, because I know you want to do back seat bingo. Yay!
That is correct. Backseat bingo. Sally and I did a little backseat bingo, if you know what I mean. Spot on. I figured you might be able to deduce that one.
That's sad that that's the one I know.
Here's my hint to you. It's not what you think it is. Okay? Cut the gas. Cut the gas. See, she had a tell the first time. When I said backseat bingo, she knew exactly what I was talking about. There was a little smirk with cut the gas. Cut the gas. Not what you think it is.
So it has nothing to do with indigestion.
I don't know. Is that what you think it is? Because it has nothing to do with what you think it is.
Okay. I think, so one night we were in college. We were all in the dorm together, a bunch of guys and girls.
Nice.
And there was some great music playing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was sitting around talking. A couple people were kind of dancing, fooling around. And, not fooling around.
Yeah, no, I got
fooling around dancing.
They weren't backseat bingoing.
And the guy that was playing the records, the vinyl, yelled to a couple of people that were dancing, hey, cut the gas.
Let's go to the judge.
Does it have to do with indigestion?
Basically, it means to shut up.
No, that's what I meant.
Cut the gas. I'm tired of listening to you.
That's what the guy yelled at those people. Cut
you
the gas.
Meant dance.
I meant stop.
You meant dance.
Okay, we're going to take that
It's
to the
taken
judges
50
afterwards.
episodes, but Deb has just tried to lie in front of all of you. Here we go. I think you might know this one. Deb, use Passion Pit in a sentence. I know the band Passion Pit very good.
Oh,
I
is there
actually
a band,
I
Passion
actually
Pit?
met some of the members when living in LA. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about 1950s lingo of Passion Pit.
Okay, so it was in the 50s. I had a date with a really cool guy.
Facts.
Went over to his house,
Mm-hmm.
super ultra modern, right? Kind of mid-century modern, but even more. And instead of a normal couch, he had this like built-in round couch that you kind of step down. And he said, come on into my Passion Pit.
I actually thought you were going to get this.
Oh,
Passion Pit refers to a drive-in theater. Now,
Oh,
I
I
haven't
wouldn't
seen
have
Rebel
gotten
Without a Cause, but I'm catching it tonight at the Passion Pit.
nope, wouldn't have gotten that.
Okay, again, we have two more.
Okay.
I think
this
you're
is
going to
getting
get
hard.
one, and you're not going to get the other one.
Okay, thanks.
Which ones are they? I don't know. Deb, if somebody in the 50s was to come up to you and say, Razz my berries,
Razz my berries?
RAZZ space MY space BERRIES, Razz my berries. It's not what you think.
I mean, I feel like I should just say no.
It's not what you think.
Okay. Razz my berries. I think, okay, so I was at a high school dance
Okay.
and it was just like the music was fun and hopping and loud.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody was moving and having a good time. And this one guy that dances really well comes up to me, grabs my hand, and he goes, hey, Deb, come on, razz my berries.
Keep going with that.
No, that's what I said.
too generic a statement. What is he inferring by saying razz my berries?
He wants me to get out on the dance floor with him.
I'm going to give it to you.
Yay.
I'm going to give it to you, though I shouldn't, because it means something that excites you.
Yeah, that's it.
That Chuck Berry
That's it.
song sure
Yes.
razzes my berries.
And that's what he said. Come on, razz my berries. That's exactly how he's using it.
We're getting to the point now where Deb's just going to start using them very ambivalently to see if I can give them to her or not. Last one.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to pronounce this right.
You can't even pronounce it?
I can. I just don't know that I've ever seen this word spelled correctly
Okay.
or spelled at all.
Okay.
Deb, what is a classy chassis? Chassis spelled
Oh.
CHASIS?
Yeah.
Classy
Classy
chassis.
chassis.
Classy chassis, last 1950s obscure lingo. Go.
Okay. So I was walking down the street with my girlfriends.
Okay.
Going home from college, going back to the dorm.
Got it.
And we all looked really cute. We had on super short skirts and, little darling sweaters, and our hair was done, and, we're walking together. And so we had to walk through this quad where there was a circular drive where the cars are parked in there,
Yep.
right? And these two guys were walking by us, and he points to this one really cool car. It was like a Corvette or something. And he says to his friend, hey, that's a classy chassis. But his friend looked at him and pointed to us and said, no, that's a classy chassis.
Wow. Wow.
I just covered all bases just in case.
You rope-a-doped us. I thought you were going to go one way,
Yeah.
and you went the other way.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
want to tell a lady she's got a great body, but you don't want
She's
to
got a
offend her?
classy chassis.
You walk up to her and
Yeah.
you say, hey, that's a classy chassis.
Yeah.
Deb, you didn't win most of the words, but the ones you got were so much fun.
And the ones I got, I'm sad to say, were kind of in a category of themselves, too.
Yeah, they were a little X-rated for this
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
And that makes me think maybe Bjorn was right. Deb, as we wind this 50th episode down, why don't you go ahead and tell me what you're thankful for this week?
I am thankful that your friend, who's my friend too, you're nice enough to share, Aria, came to town this weekend. And one of the things she requested was a Diet Coke drive with us. However, we woke up to a gazillion feet of snow today, and we still found each other and had lunch and spent some time together. And I love her and I miss her. And I know she's totally happy in San Francisco, but I wish she was here. And I'm just really grateful that she made time for me.
My thankful piggybacks off of that, in that the reason she was here was a bunch of us, for a couple buddies' birthdays, went up to the lake for a little fun-filled weekend. Everybody got COVID tested beforehand. Everybody was super secluded with the week leading up to it. We had people who removed themselves from the festivities because they couldn't promise that they hadn't been around people. It was a real adult showcase of responsibility, which, given everything that happened on the weekend, is fairly hilarious. But it's great to have people like that in my life who are so aware of everybody else as well as these times, to where we want to spend time together, but we want to do it safely. And it culminated in a great weekend where everybody could kind of let their hair down and be comfortable and not worry that anything bad was going to happen.
Was there gobs of snow?
Unlike anything I have ever seen. Wow. We literally went up less than a day after 2 full-blown blizzards hit the lake, and it was just 10-foot high snowdrifts wherever you looked. It
Magical.
Was crazy. And then the days we were up there were beautiful. So we had all this snow, but we could still go outside. Nobody had to shovel. It had already been shoveled. It was gorgeous.
And the lake?
Didn't really see much of the lake where we were, but I mean, Lake Tahoe's never not beautiful.
Never not beautiful. Well, that's a good thing. So, Kev, what's for dinner tonight?
So I'm thinking, because now this will be 2 weeks in a row that Chaboy is cooking, I'm thinking we're going to do skirt steak.
Ah.
So we are definitely not going outside to grill because there are still inches upon inches of snow. So I'm going to do my best to cook the skirt steak based on some mommy blog that I saw about cooking it on high heat in the oven in hopes of not overcooking it and leaving it really dry. But hey, that could happen. Very easily happen. And I'm going to hopefully avoid putting some weird marinade on it that'll give it some funk. But that could happen too.
We've done it before.
So I believe that is what we're going to come to the table with tonight. A nice skirt steak, which I know Dad will be happy for because he rarely ever gets red meat. And so I think that'll be something for him to be able to nosh on.
Perfect. I love it.
I don't know how we got here, but I'm so happy that we did.
I am too. It's 50. I think it's a marker. We should be proud of ourselves. Mostly, I'm just so, to say proud of, I'm so delighted and proud of the people that turn us on and find us.
Yep.
And for the ones that have found us that don't know us, some of them we've gotten to know a little bit. For the ones that are our friends and the ones that are out there that are listening that we genuinely don't know but appreciate you listening. So we love any kind of feedback. Give it to us. Ask us questions. Tell me if you think I did a good job on the words.
Just don't give us too much feedback or you definitely won't see episode 51. This has been so much fun. It's so great to be able to, just in the short instance that we've been doing this, look back on it and see how far we've progressed. And to think that all of you have been with us along the way is even better. So we like I said earlier, we can't wait for 50 more. By the time we get to 100, we'll literally have nothing else to talk about.
It's true.
If we don't have a sponsor by then, we're just going to make them up.
Unless people just keep showing up in our lives randomly.
The entire podcast is just going to become a Dear Debbie podcast.
Let's do it. I like it.
Make sure to like, rate, and review wherever you listen to us. Let's try to get 50 people to watch this YouTube channel.
Oh my gosh, that would be monumental.
If we could get 50 people on the 50th episode just to watch long enough to register as views, that would be great. Watch us on the YouTube channel. Watch us on Instagram. Follow us on all of our social channels. Let's make this one better than 7 views. Let's make it 50.
I like it. Do it, please. Just watch for a minute.
I don't even know that you need to watch for a minute. Watch for 20 seconds. I think if you watch for 20 seconds, that counts as a view.
Is that true?
I have no idea. I don't know how YouTube works.
I think if they just watch it for a little bit and then like it, that'll register.
Play it on your desktop and then just continue working.
And
you don't even have to have the volume on. Yeah, mute it.
Yeah.
Just give us the views.
Yeah.
Go to your parents' house, play it on their phones. They won't know how to turn it off. Play it
That'll
on their
count.
laptop, and that counts too.
Turn it on the TV and then go clean house.
By hook or by crook, let's get to 50 views.
Let's do it.
Mom, I love you to death.
I love you, baby.
50 episodes. Thank you, guys. We'll see you on Thursday.
Thank you for listening to the Deb and Kev podcast. Remember to like and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. Follow Deb and Kev on Facebook and on Instagram and Twitter at Deb and Kev Pod.